Hello, welcome to our workshop. We wanted to talk about credit and how credit works here, and how you have to have a or established credit to not to even be able to buy some stuff. And then we'll probably cover our experience when we came, and then what we know so far, and then how your credit, be it good or bad, can impact your ability to, to buy things. A lot of us, when we came, especially for myself, I thought, yeah, I don't have to be in debt. I was paying everything cash until it hit me that I actually needed a credit, and you need it even if you want to rent an apartment. You want to, a lot of times, you want to get like services like internet service, like a phone service and stuff like that. A lot of these things are linked to your credit, and it never made sense to me when I came until recently that everything began to make sense. Even if when you want to buy a house, in fact, it's primarily based on your credit. Is I think is how they assess your ability to repay your financial obligation, or they use it to assess your ability to repay your loan or to be able to pay your bill. Or yeah, it wasn't until recently that it started making sense to me. And in fact, it started making sense to me after I went to buy a car. And then they gave me 30% interest rate, and that was due to my credit. And then it was so bad that you needed a crane to pull it out from the ditch. So the reason why discussing it is actually, maybe if you just came to America and you're still struggling to understand the concept of credit, or you are planning to come here and you're still trying to understand the concept of credit, or you are somebody like me that opted to be paying cash for everything, and then maybe after listening to this episode, you will probably have the reason to change your mind, because if buying a house is part of your plan, or maybe going back to school, getting a student loan is part of your plan, maybe renting an apartment is also part of your plan, getting a car, maybe driving a nice car for installment that you'll be paying installment is part of your plan. You definitely need a credit, you know. So let me turn it to Yemi, and let's hear his experience, and then what he understands about credit, and then probably his perspective about the whole concept of credit. What do you think?
Credit is life in America. So if you have a bad credit, it's going to be difficult for you to access some really basic things, especially if you're looking to get the most recent Apple phones, Samsung phones. If you want to get a credit cards, you want to get auto loans, personal loans, mortgages, you need a good credit. And we know that the US credit system is a basic part of your personal finance. It affects your ability to borrow money, it affects your ability to pay rent, and even to get certain jobs. If you don't have a good credit, you'll be disqualified right away. And when you're looking at a credit report, it has a lot of different information. It's got your personal information, your name, your address, your social security numbers, your credit accounts, how many credit cards you've got, how many loans you've got that are active, and also credit or loans that you've paid off in the past. It's going to show your credit report, your payment history. How diligent are you in paying your bills on time? Are you a high risk borrower? Do you pay your bills late? Your credit history will show if you are an habitual late payment maker, if that's a thing. It'll say if you're 30 days behind, 60 days behind, 90 days behind. Credit reports is usually very detailed. And then if you apply for a loan, every time there's a hit on your credit, every time there's a search for it or an inquiry, as they call it, it's going to show on your credit report, right? And there's some things they call soft credit check. Usually soft, doesn't really affect your credit. It doesn't impact your credit in any way. But if you have a hard inquiry, yeah, it's gonna ding your credit for a few months, and then it usually takes about 2 to 3 years to roll off, but it stops affecting your credit report. It stops dropping your numbers after your maybe 30 to 60 days. And this credit report is very important, because if you don't have it, it's going to be difficult to get some basic things. So talking about my own experience when it comes to credit, most when we came to this country, I would say it wasn't very smart with credit. It believed that you can go to any store, get a credit card, buy clothes with it, buy the latest shoes with it. And at the end of the day, it's your right to not pay it back on time. And if you don't pay it back on time, it's gonna affect your credit history. So with that, I started going in that route, believing that you can get credit to do whatever you want, buy clothes, even if you don't need them. And later, I realized that if you have too much debt and you don't make a lot of money and you're struggling to keep up with paying your bills, it's not gonna be good for you. And the reason is if you're making $1,000 a month and you have $1,050 in bills to pay, to, to feed yourself, to fuel your car, to get to work back and forth, you're still in debt, right? So how are you gonna make up the $50? And that's when you start to get into borrowing money from friends, going to loan sharks with 300% interest. That's when you start to go to payday lenders, and it's a slippery slope from there. So I believe it's important that you're very smart with how you use your credit in this country. You can use your credit to build wealth. You can use it to get depreciating asset, which is going to affect you down the road. So in my own experience, when I first came into this country, my host helped me, advised me on getting a secured credit card. And a secure credit card is you put it down maybe $300 or $500. And after a few months, it'll start reporting to your to the credit bureaus. And after a year or so, you can get your secure deposit back, but you still be able to keep the line of credit. And maybe every 6 months or a year, you can start increasing your credit limit. So I really didn't have any bad experience with accessing credit when I first came. When we first came, we saved to get a car. At that point, you didn't have any family members, so you wanted, a basic car that can get you to work. That's very reliable. So you didn't really have the need to go get a $30,000 loan, $50,000 loan to drive around. Even though some people were doing it back then, but if you're just coming, if you're just still trying to find your feet, at that point, we didn't really look into going in debt because everything we did in cash. So it was a lot easier for us to maintain our lifestyles because, we weren't indebted at that point. But as we started to be comfortable, as we started making money, as we started having family members, we started getting loans, mortgages, auto loans. And, we started, racking up bills and even credit cards. So I think it's important that we all know how to manage our expenses and also how to wisely use a credit. I believe if you've lived in US for at least 5 years now, or even a year, you should have heard about Dave Ramsey. He's a big advocate for not getting into debt. If you're in debt, it walks you through the process of getting out of debt. A lot of people don't like his approach because he believes uh, shouldn't get in any debt. And if you're in any debt, you should get out. And a lot of people will say, you can use credit to build wealth. You can use debt to build wealth. It consistently stays on this message. He says, don't get into debt to do a business because I believe it was in the real estate field a long time ago. I believe the economy crashed and I lost a lot of money. I believe maybe he had to. I don't remember if he said he declared bankruptcy, but at that point he decided not to ever borrow money again. And as the Bible says, a borrower is a slave to a lender. So I never really had any really bad experience with credit because when we first came, we always paid cash. And yeah, until we started making money and we started buying properties and accessing auto loans. So that's basically my experience when it comes to
Yeah. Thank you for that background. I mean, credit card is not necessarily bad, but I think you should keep it to bare minimum and make sure you are using it for something good. Most people, the way they spend it is even if they have money in their debit card, because a lot of times these credit cards they come with a secured transaction. If you want to dispute transaction, you can easily dispute it through credit card. But if you spend your debit card, you cannot dispute that transaction because it's your money. And a lot of them come with perks, like if you get one maybe from airlines, you can get miles as you spend. If you spend it for over a period of time, you can actually get like a free air travel to most places, maybe within the US. And a lot of times, if you're a frequent flyer or you've been spending a lot on that credit card, you can actually get like a free international travel, which is good, but, be wise about it, just be disciplined about it. And then you talked about late payment. I think, late payment is a big issue because that could mean a delinquency or something like that. So you don't want your account to be delinquent. What you can do in that case, I think you can actually set up auto payment where a certain amount of money comes out from your, bank account and goes to that. And most people they advise that you pay like 10 days before the due date, because most times your due date is different from the day your credit report comes out. So you want to pay it maybe sometimes 10 days or few days before the due date, before your credit report will hit, or you'll get your new credit report. Hard inquiry, yeah, if you say you want to go get a loan for auto loan, that inquiry is definitely going to be a hard inquiry. But if you are just getting your credit checked as part of a job, because most job will try to see if you have a lot of debt. So, because if you have a lot of debt, there's a chance that you'll be compromised, especially if you're applying to a position that has to do with finance, that you'll be handling finance. So if you are in debt, it means that there is a chance for you to do some shady deals and they may actually drop you from consideration, not consider you for that position again. So for that, I think it would be like a soft inquiry. It wouldn't have a big impact on your credit. Generally, credit card is good, but just that people get it and go haywire and then spend it on everything and anything. People go to like a clothing store, they go to Macy's, get cars from Macy's, get a card from Burlington. So by the time you know it, a lot of people are racking up. They have almost 10 credit cards for different, things. For me, I don't think that that's a wise way or a reasonable way to spend credit card. In fact, for me, I think you can use it for grocery shopping, and pay it back immediately if you have the money in your bank account. You can spend it for maybe for gas and then maybe pay it back. You can as well use it to build wealth. I think it's very difficult for this country to give you loan to start a business. I don't think they do that. So you have to come up with a sum to start the business, and by the time the business start growing and there's financials, on that business, now the bank can look at, what you're making or what is, the cash flow of that business to determine if they can give you a loan, to expand that business. A bank will give you money to start a business from the ground up. I highly doubt that. I don't think they will do that. So just be wise with your credit. Know that it's part of the life in America, unless you are somebody that really want to stick, um, to Nigerian system, which is going to be very difficult because at some point you want to buy a car, because no matter your job, even if you try to save to buy a car, like a second-hand car, or to save you save money, buy it. After visiting mechanic for so long, you may decide that this doesn't make sense because by the end of the day, when you actually calculate how much you spent with your mechanic versus how much you're supposed to be paying for a car, I mean, maybe for a brand new car that will keep you away from mechanic, that you won't be spending extra money for fixing other than just doing your regular oil change and services. And sometimes it makes more sense to just pull the trigger and buy it and get a peace of mind. Because in most states, our state will probably get like almost just 4 months of sunshine or something like that around that. If you are driving in the winter time and your car give up on you, it's going to be a big problem. You'll be freezing. A lot of those things actually push people to say, well, let me put this trigger and just go get this car and be paying. For me, I think it makes sense, especially if you have family, you have wife and children. You don't want your children to be stuck on the road. You don't want them to be calling you while you are at work to come and pick them up. So instead of going through that, it makes sense to just put the trigger and then get something very reliable. And for you to get that thing that is reliable, you may not be able to afford it cash. So you might have to go the route of credit. Nothing crazy. Don't go for $100,000 car. Make sure that the loan you're getting doesn't exceed your yearly income. If you make $50,000, I don't think it makes sense to go and buy a car of $60,000. In fact, I don't even think it makes sense to go and buy a car of $30,000 if you're making $60,000, because that is not the only bill you will have. You will have a probably mortgage or rent, as the case may be. There is feeding. There is other expenses like internet, like a phone bill, water bill. If you have a house, you'll be paying water bill. You'll be paying sewage. You'll be paying all of these things. So it makes sense, to know, a car that is almost equivalent to your yearly income. So generally, I don't think credit card is bad, but I think we can be smart about it.
Yeah, I think you raised a very good point, and I'm gonna comment on buying used car. I think my first car was Toyota, and I didn't even want the Toyota. I bought it so that someone, I bought it because someone that needed a car didn't have the money for it. So I bought a car, and then I used it for a few months. And when the person that needed the car got the money, I sold the car to him. And then, I started looking for my own car because I wanted something different. So I didn't want to drive Toyota because a lot of people around me were driving Toyota and, wanted something unique, something different. So I found this Dodge Stratus at a used dealership shop on 56th and Lafayette. They paid cash for the car. So I drove the car. And one Sunday morning, I went to church. Everything was okay. And I was coming back home from church and the car stopped on a red light. So since the car stopped on a red light, someone, out to help to push it out of the way. I constantly had problems with the vehicle and I was like, I'm not gonna keep doing this every week and, taking it to the shop to get it looked at every week. So I decided to approach the credit union for an auto loan. That was my first auto loan. Got a Toyota. I didn't want to get a Toyota, but I ended up, getting the Toyota. And I enjoyed the Toyota. I drove it for a long time. My wife drove the car as well, and we kept the car for over 10 years. And that was a good deal. Paid the loan off. It was very affordable then, and didn't really have any issues with making the payment. You know, served its purpose before we disposed the car. So it was very good, very neat vehicle. So now, I mean, I'm still not a big fan of Toyota, but I know Toyota vehicles are very reliable. So if you're just coming, make sure you get something reliable, something that can get you from point A to point B with air conditioning. So that way, when winter comes, it's gonna have some heat, and then you won't have to worry about taking it into the mechanic shop every week or every other week. That's gonna save you some headache. It's gonna save you some stress and also put some money back in your pocket. I do want to go deep into talking about credit score. And there are three major credit bureaus where you can check your credit and get some information on your credit. The first one is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And all these three bureaus, they have different algorithms uh on how they track your credit. So your score on Equifax might be different from your score in Experian, and your score in Experian might be might be different from your score on TransUnion because they use different, system to track your credit scores and your credit history. But at the end of the day, your score will still be pretty similar, if not the same. So it'd be pretty similar. Credit score is usually between 300 and 850. Is your below, I don't think it can be below 300, but anything below 500 or 580, that's a problem. If you're at 850 and above, well, if you're 800 and above, you're looking good. And anything below that, I think if you're between maybe 580 and, so I 700, you're still good. But anything below 580, yeah, you're going to be getting high interest rate from your lenders. And they have 5 categories on how they calculate your credit score. Payment history is like 35% of your score, and the credit utilization is 30%. Some people believe you should pay it off every month. Some people believe you should at least leave a balance of 10%. If you have a balance of 10%, depending on your interest rate, you might end up not paying any interest on it. Like you were explaining earlier, there's a difference between your due date and your statement date. So you usually want to make your payment before your due date, because if you don't make your payment before your due date, you're going to incur late fees and it'll continue adding up until you pay your balance in full. So, for example, if your due date is on the 10th, your statement date is on the 13th, and after your statement date, your history for the month reports to your credit bureau. So it's important that you know the difference between your due date and your statement date. And also, the length of your credit history is also one of the factors that contribute to your credit score. And that accounts for 15% of your credit score. And then your credit mix is 10%. And it's usually the mix of the types of credit that you have. Some people have student loans, some people have credit cards, some people have auto loans, some people have mortgages, some people have personal loans. So all this is a different credit mix that comes into play. And then the last one is your credit inquiries. The more inquiries you have, the less your credit score will be. And your inquiries account for 10%. So you want to make sure you're getting 100% of your payment history, so you know at least 35% of your score is secured. And credit utilization, if you keep your balance less than 10%, you'll be looking good on that 30%. And also your length of credit history is 15%. If you're just starting, you're gonna be taking a hit on that. And if you don't have a lot of credit mix, that's about 10%. And also your inquiries, that's about 10%. So again, for you to continue to have access to comparable interest rate, good interest rate, you want to make sure you have good credit history. If you don't have it, start working towards it. Make sure you pay down your debt. Make sure you don't take too much debt that you're making. I usually tell people these that if you make $1 million a year and you're spending $1 million a year, you have a problem of spending. You don't have a problem of income. You have a problem of spending. And even if you're making $50,000 a year and you're only spending $25,000 a year, you have $25,000 to yourself. I know making 50K a year before taxes, you're probably not going to be able to keep 25% unless you're eating ramen noodles not every day. Maybe you can keep, half of it, because IRS is going to come for it. Uncle Sam is going to come for a portion of it. You have life to live, you pay bills, take care of your family here, take care of your family overseas. Yeah, you need to be smart with your money. Make sure you save and invest a little. Save a little, invest a little. Don't try to spend all of your money. And that's one of the ways you can start using credit to build wealth.
Yeah, with the regards to late payment, I think like I said before, the way to go about it is set up auto payment. But a lot of people want to be in control of when they want to make a payment, because most times people don't have enough money in their bank account, so they don't really want the account to go overdraft. That is another charge from the bank. So for that reason, a lot of people want to be in control of when they make a payment. But these are obligations that regardless you must meet. Let's say you have auto loan and you default on it, there's a chance that they will come and grab that car from you. So why gamble with that? Why not just set auto loan where they deduct it and you just have it at the back of your mind that there is always money going to this account, instead of trying to be in control. For me, a lot of my bills are automated. In my insurance, a lot of almost all my bills are automated, so I don't have to worry about due date. They just come, grab it, and I know that my bills are paid. So if you want to avoid late payment or delinquent account, I think that is the way to go. But I know a lot of people are still old school. They still want to keep it old school. They still want to pick up their phone and call the creditors and then say, "Hey, I want to make a payment." Maybe it's therapeutic. I wouldn't know. Maybe they derive from that. But for most people, it's like that. If you are making $50,000, before tax, and then after tax, that money is probably going to be like 40,000 or 38,000, depending on your on your situation. And if you have children, that is not enough money. If you because if you have children, you are making 38,000. Probably almost 14,000 of that will go to rent, give or take, will go to rent. You have other obligations back home as an immigrant, especially people of Nigerian descent that, are notorious for taking care of people back home. So it means that a portion of that, your check, will be going back home to take care of people, and you'll be taking care of your financial obligation here. So that's not quite a lot of money. So maybe you can up your game, but we know that all of us are not the same. Some people will make way more than that. Some people may not be, too lucky to make a lot. But whatever you're doing, just make sure that you keep improving yourself to put yourself in a better position to earn, more. Yeah, credit is the currency here. In fact, most times you could have cash and then they may not be able to set those things for you because there is really no track record of you being responsible and paying your bill. I'm not exactly sure the reason for the credit, but I think maybe they just want to see how people are responsible, how responsible people are in, handling maybe situations like that. Yeah, if you are just coming in here, I think the best way to go is go the route of a secured credit card. I did not do that because I just believed in paying cash at that time. Just get a secured credit card, maybe from a credit union, not from a commercial bank that are there to rip you off. Just get it from a credit union and then start from there. Maybe start with $200 or $300. Maybe spend it just on gas, maybe gas and food. But if you start spending it on food, you may just um quickly go through it. But if you just spending it on gas, maybe $50 gas, $30 gas, it will take you a minute to go through it, and the bill will not be too much for you to handle. So I think that is a good way to go. Like you said about the car, when I came, I did not want to, want anything to do with Toyota because I thought that was Nigerian, or was too Nigerian. Most people around us that time, were driving Toyota and Honda. So I wanted something a little bit different. And I went and bought a Nissan. And then the Nissan dealt with me, until, I couldn't deal with it no more. And I think I sold it for like 1,000 or 1,005. And I bought that car around 3,008, and my experience, was not good from there. I didn't have a good experience with that car. And till tomorrow, I still say it's not that I'm proud or because I've arrived. I don't, in fact, I'm poor. But if you give me a brand new Nissan, I will say no, thank you. You can keep it because of my experience from that car. So if you are somebody that just come from, Nigeria, mostly Nigeria, you just come. There's a lot of people that you will see driving Mercedes, driving big cars. For some of those people, they have been here a long time. They have found they have roots. They've been here a long time. They have established credit. They probably have a better job than you. So don't be intimidated by driving Mercedes Benz, or don't try and jump and say, my first car is going to be that. Well, you may be able to afford it. I don't know. Our situations are different. Some people came from Nigeria with money. So I don't know if you are part of the people that came with money. When I came after I bought a ticket from Washington, I only had about $350 left. I'm not sure if if your situation, if you came with bag of money, you can obviously spend it on Mercedes Benz. But if you're an average person, that just came to this country and you don't have money, just like my situation, I think the best way to go is to buy a Toyota. They are very reliable. The fuel consumption is not a lot. You can drive almost a whole week with $30 gas, depending on the model. The older Toyota, I think 2022, that car, a full tank of gas can drive you almost 3 weeks. So I think, get a Toyota, maybe Corolla or Camry, just to start life. Most people, if you are mechanically inclined, most people can work on Toyota. You can work on it by yourself. You can do basic things, do oil change, maybe change your tire, maybe change your brakes and stuff like that by yourself. But I won't lie to you, American cars like GMC, Chevy, Escalade, they are very good looking. I must confess to you. They are very, very good looking. But can you afford the maintenance? Because a lot of those things, when they break down, you're taking it straight to the dealership. and the dealership will have a fee day with you. Like you could spend your 2 months check on a single fix. For some of those cars, their parts are not readily available. You have to wait for them, for the dealership to order the part for you. Even if you find a roadside mechanic that want to help you fix it, you still have to get the parts from the dealerships. Whichever way you look at it, you will be losing. And the same thing applies to some of the European cars, Land Rovers. They will tell you that they will order the part. The Mercedes, most of them are like that. They will tell you that they will order the part from Europe, and it takes forever. And within that time, your car is in the shop, you won't have anything to be driving. Especially if the car is not, maybe you didn't get it from dealership. If you got it from the dealership and you have maybe insurance on it, like to fix it and stuff, they can give you a loaner. But if you don't, then it means that you won't have any means to go out. So if you just come, start small and build from there. But hey, what do I know? A lot of us did not come from the same situation. We don't have the same situation. So if you came to this country with money, you can buy Lamborghini, you can buy whatever you want to buy. But if you want to live a modest life or you want to start, in a modest way, you know, start with Toyota and then work your way up.
Yeah, good advice. When I came, I believe I came with $300, and when I paid my first phone bill, it was $50. So I was left with about $250. And it took me about 3 months before I could get a job, and I almost finished all the money. I literally finished all the money because once you pay 3 bills of $50, that's 150 right there. You're left with half of it. And to go out to do other things, it takes money. So yeah, that's a good advice. Now, if you don't come with a lot of money, yeah, live a modest life until you're settled and you can get a good job that will take care of your expensive lifestyles. And one thing I do want to mention, I know we're out of time. I do want to mention budgeting. It's important that you're budgeting. You need to know how much it's coming in every week or bi-weekly or every month, depending on how frequent you get paid, right? So know how much is coming in, how much is going out, and be smart with your money, right? You cannot be the Messiah. You cannot be the El Shaddai. Because if you're the El Shaddai, you might end up dying, right? So make sure you budget. If anything happens to you here, no one is going to take care of you. So you have to take care of yourself first. Get budget, right? Know how much is coming in, know how much is going out. Make sure whatever is going out is way less than what's coming in, right? Because you don't want to have too much expenses and have to pick up an extra job or a third job to pay your bills. It gets old, and you may end up falling sick if you don't get good sleep. So make sure you're budgeting. Don't spend more than you make. Don't try to copy your neighbors or your friends. Don't try to catch up or try to match up with the Joneses. Don't copy anybody. You're from a different background. Your salaries are definitely not the same. So make sure you stay in your lane. And if they have nice things, admire it and move on. And maybe one day when you have a decent job, you can afford something like that. So I'll turn it over to you to wrap it up.
Yes, that is very good advice. In fact, when you see, like he said, when you see something good, something nice that somebody has, maybe a nice car, maybe somebody invited you to their house, you get to their house, you see that their house is sitting on 10 acres of land, maybe 5,300 square foot of house. Yeah, look at it, congratulate him, maybe go home because you know what? A lot of time you don't know what somebody is doing. They could be legit. I'm not saying they're not legit, but you never know. Do not stress yourself over it. Do not lose sleep over it. Okay, just focus on your life because everybody will not make it. For the fact that you're in America does not mean you will make it. Like somebody, I think I was listening to one program and that lady said, for the fact that you did not give up does not mean that you will make it. Even if you don't give up, you still cannot, not make it. So for the fact that you're in America does not mean that you will make it. Not everybody will be wealthy. Not everybody will be uber rich. According to my son, he always say uber rich. Not everybody will be uber rich. Just admire those things. But if you are in America, you're a Nigerian, an immigrant, or you are planning to come to America, know that the currency we spend here is credit. Okay, is a credit. Your credit will open doors for you, can afford you nice things, and then make or mar you. So have it at the back of your mind. Start small and grow big from there. And thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, thank you for listening to us. I'm just gonna add that no miracle money is coming to your bank account here. You gotta work for it. So no miracle money. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hopefully we'll do another episode talking about finance. And we're actually gonna have an expert coming to talk to us about finance in the next few weeks. So hang tight. We appreciate you joining us. Don't forget to share with your friends, like, comment, and let us know what you think about credit in the United States. Thank you once again for joining us and have a good one.